here we go. Into the Spiderverse. Coffee. Spider-Man 2, or the Into the Spider-Verse 2. No, okay, yeah. Spider-Verse 2, Across the Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse. Part 1. And then part 2 will be Beyond the Spider-Verse. So yeah, real quick. People were upset with how the film ended. So, and it does end with a complete cliffhanger. And really, it could have ended like 5 or 6 times towards the end. I was like, oh, that's the ending. Oh, that's the ending. Oh, that's the ending. Oh, that's the ending. But no, finally it got to the actual ending. And then by that point, you're like, yeah, but you could have ended earlier, and you kind of really stretched it out. And now it feels like you didn't end it when you should have. So yeah, the end, I can understand if people kind of get upset at the ending, because it is a cliffhanger, but they took a long time to get to that cliffhanger of an ending. All right, so Into the Spider-Verse, Part 2, Across the Spider-Verse. The story of Miles Morales. Except that this one really doesn't star Miles Morales. This one kind of stars Gwen, or Spider-Gwen, or Spider-Woman, or whatever. You tell me in the comments what she is. But anyway, it kind of stars her because the film starts with her and then the film ends with her. And she's really the only one that has an arc. She has issues with her father. It's just her and her father. Her father is a cop, played by Shia Wingman, and he's kind of popping up everywhere, and it's great. I first came across him in Boardwalk Empire in a supporting role that became just more and more and more of a role. And then he was in Skull Island. He just kind of shows up a lot. He was in Joker too, also as a cop. And so they kind of have, a hard relationship. She reveals that she's Spider-Woman to him. Oh, sorry, spoilers. In case you haven't seen this film. And then, well, it's too late, I already spoiled it. All right, anyway. So their sort of conflict is resolved at the end of the film. And that's not really a bait and switch, but the film is supposed to be about Miles Morales. It's Spider-Man. It's about him. So I don't know why they did that, but whatever. It's not a huge deal. It's just something that I wanted to point out. And then, because the rest of the film with Miles Morales, the story gets very, very complicated. Not convoluted, but complicated. There's a lot of twists and turns. Surprising twists that I thought were really, really good. Surprising twists that are really good, involving the actual villain, which is Spider-Man 2099. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's the correct Spider-Man. Voiced by Oscar Isaac, which I knew he was in the film going into it, but I forgot he was in the movie. And he does a great job voice acting. Oscar Isaac really kind of got done dirty in Star Wars, and so it's nice to see him kind of go off now and be able to do really good roles. I mean, but I guess it's kind of where he shined anyway, outside of Star Wars. I mean, go watch I can't remember the name of it, but well, all right, I'll just put it up on the screen. This movie, go watch this movie, it's great. The art style that was good in the first film has been elevated now. It's like turned up to 11, and it's just really, really exaggerated. And it's good, and it's unique. And, talking about Marvel films in general and just sort of the cinematography always being sort of muted, without a voice, without characterization into the visuals of it, unlike older films like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. They're really bland, but so it's a nice change with these Spider-Verse films, is that there is a flavor, there's a uniqueness, and there's a voice to the cinematography. And yeah, I know it's all animation, but I think it still counts. It still counts, I think, to say that it has a unique look and whatnot. It just adds that much more character, that much more flavor to it. It's great. And Miles Morales is great. All the voice acting is great. They introduce way more Spider-Man. The Spider-Verse, goes from this to, this. And not once do you feel overwhelmed by the story or anything like that. So that's a lot of positives. I guess the negatives are, like I said at the beginning, sort of the ending, how it could have ended 5 times, and then they really stretched it out, and then it just kind of lost its punch, and it just kind of ended and really pissed a lot of people off, understandably. But there was a couple times. This is longer. I don't think it's 3 hours, but it kind of felt like 3 hours, and that's not good. So, and because there's a lot of scenes really in the second act where they just kind of drag. There's a lot of really drawn out stuff, a lot of things that is just lost in pacing. But it's like, but you know, they need all this to build up to the ending and then go off and do part 2. It definitely is part of like a 6-hour film, because part 2 is, you know, and nothing is resolved in part 1 except for the Spider-Gwen. It's not until number 2 that everything, or I'm sorry, but the end of this film that, you know, she has her story where it's at the beginning and then has her conclusion. But in terms of film 2, there's a whole bunch of stuff now that they got to fix, that they have to finish off. So it's definitely a part 1. I'm excited for part 2. The Oscar Isaac really is a good villain, but is he a villain? You know, it's like, it's not really clear cut for him. So that's one thing that's negative about this film, is sort of the, not the runtime, but the fact that it is slower. The pacing isn't always there. And it kind of loses focus, but that's because there's so much going on. But, you know, it's not the best Spider-Man film ever. That honor still goes to, I think, going all the way back to the Tobey Maguire films, like 1 and 2. Probably 2, really. This film isn't better than Spiderverse 1, but it's just as good, I think. It's not better, but it's just as good. And that's fine for a sequel. That's actually a big compliment. You know, it's rare when sequels are better anyway. You know, going back to like Empire Strikes Back, it's better than Episode 4 of Star Wars. But then again, no film has come close to Empire Strikes Back, right? Every Star Wars film since then has pretty much been terrible. Let's face it, right? No matter how many good things you could say about, you know, little things you can pick out of the prequels or whatever, and, you know, the sequels are terrible, blah, blah. We're not talking about Star Wars, but that was just an example. Just an example. So other things that aren't that great about this movie. Pretty much all the men are idiots, which has been, you know, kind of a common theme in Hollywood for, you know, more than 20 years, but it's becoming progressively worse as society and everything's become progressively woke. Men fall to this all the time, is that the Spider-Man from the first Spider-Verse film, which was Miles Morales' mentor, is just completely browbeaten in this one. Like, it's just like he's running around with his baby for some reason, and it's like, where's Mary Jane? Why isn't, like, the baby home with Mary Jane? Like, what's Mary Jane doing? Like, we don't know what you're doing. I'm just like, yeah, and it's like maybe Peter wants to take his child everywhere and run around or whatever, but it's like, what are you doing? You're Spider-Man. Like, how is this even responsible, taking this baby and running around? It's just, it just seems kind of stupid. And then he immediately always defers to her authority all the time. Then she's, you know, she's smart and wonderful and he's stupid, and even asking like, oh, am I cut out for this? Am I? It's like, all the men are idiots. Miles Morales' father is an idiot and just, you know, sort of shrinks every time his mother comes around, and he just doesn't know what to do. And even has a conversation at one point with Miles Morales as Spider-Man. He doesn't know that he's Spider-Man, but anyway, he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then, you know, Spider-Man's like, well, you know, because I'm emotionally mature, and, you know, you guys, you know, like, your whole generation didn't bother with mental health. And it's like, what he means is, it's like, yeah, all you men back then didn't deal with your emotions, or rather is your emotions aren't like women, right? You're not acting like women emotionally, so you're automatically you have a mental health issue. It's like, no, men and women process emotions differently, okay? It's just little things like that in the end is just to bring the men down and to make them stupid. And so, yeah, it's just, I think it's important. It's unfortunate that identity politics and, you know, the current landscape of politics and all that has just become so entwined with the entertainment that you have to bring these things up now. I don't want to talk about this crap. I just want to say, is this movie objectively good or bad? But you have to bring these things up now because it's just all intertwined together. So yeah, sometimes I got to bring this stuff up. So anyway, yeah, the men are all idiots. And then, of course, they always have to have, you know, to throw in a dig at capitalism at one point or whatever. And it's like, yeah, okay, guys, in Hollywood, we know. You're all socialists and communists over there. Fine, whatever. All right, so, but all that being said, no, this is a great movie. I would say, yeah, I would give this movie a 8.5. So Into the Spider-Verse 2, Across the Spider-Verse 8.5. Definitely go check it out. Everybody go watch it, you know. Take your kids, you know, date night, whatever, with your wife or whatever. It's great. It's not the best Spider-Man, but it's a good Spider-Man. So click over here if you want to see my review of the 2018 film Upgrade. It's fantastic. And click over here if you just want to see a playlist. All right. I'll see you later. Have a good day. Bye.